What is going down, 49er faithful? We are back to dig into the tape against the Chiefs. I know some of you are ready to flush it and move on to the next, but there are some things that we can diagnose inside that tape. And we can also look at Christian McCaffrey and how he could be the missing piece to this 49ers offense and how he can add a legitimate spark moving forward. We're going to get into that all right after this. We had the 49ers make a roster move. We're going to talk about it right now. You already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What's going on, everybody? If you're just joining, we had a roster move pop off right before we got on. Tevin Coleman has been released. San Francisco 49ers running back who popped onto the scene against the Panthers with 2 touchdowns, making spectacular catches. We're like, holy crap, is Tevin Coleman going to be a piece? Well, his time has come to an end. Tevin Coleman has been released by the San Francisco 49ers today, and we understand why. 49ers make a big splash move last week. Go get Christian McCaffrey, bring him to the squad, and of course, 49ers have to make a move. However, I do see a scenario that does exist where we do see Tevin Coleman added back onto the practice squad if he doesn't get claimed by someone else. To be fair, I don't know if he's actually on waivers. There's a lot of different variables that come along with the wordage that is used. He wasn't waived, so I don't know if he necessarily goes on waivers, but we'll see what the outcome is. I could see him go back to the practice squad. And again, we lost a practice squad running back, as Ramon points out. Mac was claimed by Denver yesterday. So, hey, we understand some moves are going to be made, and we can imagine too as well. There is going to be some moves coming likely for Jordan Mason. This move opened up a roster spot, and the 49ers have until Wednesday to designate Jason Verrett for return. So it does sound like Jason Verrett could be back rocking this week for the San Francisco 49ers, which would be a welcome get back. Because we do know the 49ers cornerbacks struggled last week against the Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes. So we'll continue to see what other roster moves play out. But we do know, and especially what we saw on tape, even though Christian McCaffrey showed up in the building on Friday of last week and played, he got 10 touches against the Chiefs on Sunday. And you could see in some of those touches, there is the explosion, the ability that you wanted to see from Christian McCaffrey, but you can also see room for improvement once he kind of gets used to running behind this offensive line and understands the scheme a little bit better. But I do anticipate, it does seem like Jason Verrett will be activated this week on Wednesday, so that's going to be something that we look out for. We got a new member, Green Thumb Richie. Welcome to the Sourdough Squad. Appreciate you, my boy. And shout out to all the Sourdough Squads jumping in, dropping your bread emojis, doing all that good stuff. You love to see it. Let's go. I know yesterday was rough. Yesterday for me was kind of like I had to vent a little bit. I feel better now. Was able to get some stuff, I was able to just kind of express my emotions a little bit, because let's face it, this game is an emotional game, and us from looking at it from afar, it can be very easy to get emotional about it. But I do think getting into the tape, looking at it, watching it up until this point, something about watching the tape that just makes me feel better. because I think we get wrapped up in the flow of the game, and I think that's where we're gonna come back to when it comes to what's wrong with the 49ers. The flow of the game was not great. They made mistakes and at bad times. Um, and I think those are the issues that we're gonna look at. What's good, Joey? Um, for the most part, they didn't do it that bad. They really didn't. And of course, we're gonna pull up the tape to show that evidence, but it was the timing. It was bad throws by Jimmy, bad drops by receivers, um, ill-timed sacks, ill-timed penalties, everything in between. When you look at the execution, even the blocking actually held up really damn well for the most part, outside the couple poor plays that you guys all know. Outside of that, the 49ers did pretty good. Like, that's not the problem. The problem is, again, we talked about it yesterday. How do we like assign and understand like what really is going on here? Like, it just there's a vibe, there's an energy, there's a game flow. It's those types of things that are just really, really difficult to assess and understand. Um, Sean says McGlinchey got murked yesterday. McGlinchey did have a tough day, but let's see. I have logged all his poor plays, and there's 3 of them, and I went hunting. I went looking because I know a lot of people are upset with Mike McGlinchey. They want justice. Uh, and so I understand McGlinchey's a friend of the program, but we have to keep it objective, and we don't want to disregard something just because I like the person, Mike McGlinchey. And so I went hunting, looking for all of Mike's miscues, and it really only came down to, I think, 3. And again, we understand what game flow, the opportunities, the timing, it just wasn't great. But we'll talk about it. We'll look at it. Um, but outside of that, it was okay. It was okay. Wasn't great. Definitely had some missed opportunities. Definitely got blown by a couple times for sure. For sure. And I'll give it. I'll give it. They need constructive criticism. I'll give the constructive criticism. Again, we know I got a soft spot in my heart for these old linemen, but I will. I hear you. Ramon says three's too many. Hey, I get it, especially when they come in bad spots. Bad spots for sure. So we'll take a look. We'll break it down. We'll get into it all right now because I know a lot of people got a bone to pick with the San Francisco 49ers offense. Um, so let's before we kind of hop into the tape and start breaking it down, because we're going to look at it all. What are you thinking of if you've gone back and watched the game, or if you're just going off what you remember? What were the things that stood out to you from a negative perspective? Drop it into the chat. Let's get it all out, and then we'll kind of work through the tape. So the things that made you angry, the things that made you frustrated, because it's abundantly clear we all came out of that game frustrated. We all did. The players, coaches, fans, analysts, like we're just looking at this team like, what the heck are we doing, man? What is this game? What is this? And it was frustrating. So I want to see what you guys feel, and we'll kind of address all of them and go through it as we kind of walk through the tape and get into it. Of course, it's going to do this to me. Let's see. Video, KCD, open. All right, it's gonna make me do this BS. It is. All right. Bear with me. We got the tape up. You guys can see the tape. Before we get right into it, let's look at some of the things that we were upset about. Pressure in the face, errant throws, flags. Flags were a big issue. Flags were drive killers. It's the coach and QB, Jimmy G. Just penalties, O line, and not enough CMC. CMC got 10 touches this game. He was used decently well in the first half, and that kind of went away down the stretch. No pressures on Mahomes. True. We are looking at the offense today, just so we know. Defense potentially tomorrow if we want it. Penalties. I think you're right with that. Definitely penalties, flags. Yes. The disciplinary things, the things that, you look at NFL professional athletes and you're like, man, we gotta clean that up. Is that a function of coaching? Is that a function of just not being focused? What is that? And why is that? But a lot of it comes down to penalties. Jimmy's end zone pick changed the momentum of the game. We'll look at that play. And it is kind of frustrating to watch. So we'll take a look. We'll take a look at those as well. Jimmy's accuracy, the third and longs. They couldn't stop them on third and long. That was the defensive side. Offensive line penalties. Yeah, the penalties just really hurt them. Game plan. Again, every time I hop back into the tape, I think game flow. Because when I look at the actual plays, there are plays to be made, but there are miscues, missed opportunities, bad execution. So I've kind of lessened up on game plan. I think it's more game flow. It's more execution. It's more drive killing penalties. It's that type of disciplinary things from the coaching side. I think the game plan is effective enough, and we'll look at it and we'll get into it all, and take a deep dive in, and we'll talk about the defense because the defense didn't help this team in a lot of ways. So the defense, we're not going to put this all on the offense, but we are watching offense today. I think the defense did themselves some injustices as well. Jesus says this film is going to kill me. Actually, I think it's going to be okay. We'll look at it because, again, I thought the film was going to kill me too, but I felt okay. I felt like, again, it's in the moment that kills you the most. When you're watching the issues and the mistakes that occur, I really do think that's what kills you. But when you go back and you kind of compartmentalize everything, plays were there to be made. It was just execution overall. And poorly timed penalties, poorly the turnovers, all of it. That it hurt. It hurt the soul. But there's plenty of ops that this team reminds me that they're not dead in the water. They can get stuff done. Shout out to Aaron Banks, by the way. Aaron Banks, number 65. He was the 8th highest graded player on PFF in the NFL this week. He really had a clean game. I saw one play where, and we could even go through it, but one play by Aaron Banks where he took a bad angle. But other than that, Aaron Banks had a clean day in the office. He continues to be more than serviceable in pass blocking. He's doing it in the run game. Aaron Banks has proven to be a great pick. A lot was made about him being picked in the second round and all that good stuff and potentially being a bust. Uh, but no, and you're going to get a nice example. This one, we're going to get some. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. I like this one. You get one-on-one opportunity with Banks with 91, essentially head up. Trent is going to be able to go out to the outside. Banks does a good job of staying in front, trying to reposition hands, and then Trent gets his guy on the ground, and they're able to both get them down on the ground. I mean, he did a really good job. But the guy that really looks promising is this guy that they call CMC. Christian McCaffrey, I think, is going to be a really nice piece for this offense. When he gets acclimated and he gets put into the mix, CMC is going to be a guy that I think could be a huge weapon. And especially when you start using his scheme versatility by putting him outside, doing all those different types of things, I do think that's going to be a lot of fun because you can see the look at how much he affects the defense by threatening zone to the left. You can see linebackers, you can see everyone fighting to get over the top to make sure that this outside zone doesn't break. But that's the beauty of zone is that it creates cutback lanes, and Christian McCaffrey is one of the best at finding those and hitting them. So he continues to prove he's going to be pretty solid. He looked really good for the most part. I don't know how someone said it was the worst trade ever. Sounds like a troll. I don't know how you can call this the worst trade ever. This guy was on the team for 3 days and he's doing stuff like this. And when you continue to get him more opportunities and built into the scheme better, you're really going to be able to see him flourish more. Um, but he's a good athlete. He's a good athlete. He's going to be someone that I think can be a big piece because they lined up Debo a couple times in the backfield. I don't think Debo is looking the same, just not looking as explosive. But you can see how easily CMC can maneuver the junk and get through there. So I know a lot of people they don't like the idea of trading for a running back. I'm not too worried about it. Really not. Really, really not. But the offensive line, again, I don't think the offensive line is necessarily an issue in the sense of they're capable, but they got to do it play in, play out. They got to be consistent, can't get the penalties, things like that. Like this is a really good job by your left side of the offensive line, starting with Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, and Jake Brendel. They do a phenomenal job of opening up this hole for Jeff Wilson. Obviously, Jeff Wilson got to hold on to the ball as he goes to the ground, but you're going to get like, I think, let's see. So you're going to get double to backer concept right here on the D tackle. Banks is going to get a good job of walling him out. Brendel does a great job of coming back and getting to second level. You have Kyle Juszczyk coming right through the hole, and Jeff Wilson's able to sneak through. It's nice. It's good enough. Let's see here. So some of the bad plays are going to be popping up here. Like I like the way that this formation looked. Like if you look at this formation, that's Christian McCaffrey at the top of your screen. And even though this is a screen to Brandon Ayuk, it again shows the versatility that Christian McCaffrey has. He's out there blocking for Brandon Ayuk. They're going to be able to do a lot of different things with Christian McCaffrey. So I'm really excited about that. We saw a little bit of Trent Williams kind of getting back to form. Let's see. I think if you look at Trent Williams, I think we're going to get the signature snatch move here on Clark. So Clark is going to go to engage. You see him extend. Trent Williams is going to hit down on Clark's hand. You see that? See that swipe? And Clark hits the turf. Love that. It's just the element that he brings to the table. Trent Williams, good to see. But again, it's a tight window throw. Just wasn't there. Could have been interceptions. Those are the ones that are scary, that pop up like that. I do have to give credit to the cornerback. That was pretty good coverage by the cornerback to be able to just stay in Ayuk's hip pocket, get in front of it, break it up. Ayuk isn't able to bring it in, but there's zero margin of error on that throw. Zero margin of error. You try to, take a step back, look at the defense, the way it's set up. Honestly, I wish he's looking for Juwan Jennings. If you look at Juwan Jennings, no safety help, really. You can maybe take advantage of that one-on-one matchup from Juwan because Juwan does win off the line of scrimmage. 35 does a good job of recovering, but Juwan does stack. You throw it out to about the E because you have the room. Maybe give Juwan some time to get under it. I think that's a better op than kind of a press man slant. But he chooses the right side of the field, and that's where he goes. So, again, I don't know the true progressions through this thing. Let's look at we got a good catch. So Debo, I think this one is it right here. Debo does a really good job of coming down with this football. It's a bit high, but Debo does a really good job of having to fight, go up and get it. That's a good job by Debo. Great catch. Again, high ball. Debo does a good job coming down with it, though. Debo. Jedi said I'm getting pissed already. Let's see. So again, the first quarter, right? So you can see we're kind of going through it chronologically. They're doing okay, They're actually doing pretty good. Offense was moving well. They were holding blocks for the most part. Jimmy was putting the ball at least in good enough spots where they could get after it and make plays on it. Nothing too egregious up until this point for the offense in general. Let's see. Let's go to. So I think we're going to have our first touchdown here. This is the Ray touchdown in the corner of the end zone. And I do have to give credit to Jimmy here. I do think it's deserved because he is getting tackled before the ball is released. So it's not a great throw. He puts it in a spot where only Ray can get it. And Ray just makes an incredible catch to go up and get it. But, that's one that worked. That's one that worked. And again, if you look at Trent Williams, we're going to get another snatch technique. He gets another defender on the ground. Get down. Look at that. When Trent's in this position, just kind of hovering over you, it's just probably one of the most helpless feelings for defensive tackle. Watch again. Trent Williams, left tackle. Same thing. Snatch. You see it every time. You get the defenders trying to create leverage and separation, and kind of by getting their leverage by pushing against the offensive lineman, and he just basically uses that against them, takes their hands out, and they just hit the turf. Really good job here. Again, I don't think this would be considered a pressure by Aaron Banks because quarterback, you have 2.5 minutes. You have, or not 2.5, 2.5 seconds to get the ball out. After that, it's on you. You get 2.5 seconds. That's it. Anything else after that, that's on the quarterback. You got to get the ball out. The most you're going to get is 3 seconds. So credit to Jim at least getting the ball out and giving the wide receiver an ability to go and make a play on the ball. Offensive line on this play did a pretty good job for the most part. Nothing pops out to me from the O line that would have me say anything otherwise. So really, we're about 7 minutes into the tape. This is a bad Jimmy throw. I have this one logged. So this is logged as a bad bad throw from Jimmy. I don't put this one on Ayuk. You got to get this ball up. You can't hit it on the turf like that. That's that's on Jim. I would imagine Jim would say the same as well. You got to get that ball up. That's a reception right there. That's a nice chunk yardage, puts you in a favorable position. You get great protection from your offensive line up front. I mean, look at everyone across the board. Offensive line protection, you got Banks on Chris Jones. Brendel comes over to help. Trent does his job. Brunskill does his job. McGlinchey does his job. It's a beautiful pocket. Beautiful pocket. Good pocket. Ball hits the turf. So not a great throw, but not too much later, Jim comes back and delivers a good ball to Brandon Ayuk over the middle. You can see, look at this pre-snap look. You basically got too high, but everyone else is around the line of scrimmage. And so Brandon gets the one-on-one coverage. He wins his route, and Jimmy Garoppolo is able to find him. So Jimmy Garoppolo's problem is not that he can't do it. I think he can do it. He can make the throws. He can be accurate. He can throw with timing. He can throw with anticipation. It's just you don't know. You don't know when you're going to get the opposite. You're going to get the bad Jimmy. you just don't know. He's good until he's not good. You know what I mean? And that's the hardest thing I think with Jim. He's good until he's not good. He's good until he's not good, and when he's not good, you're like, "Oh my gosh, what the hell did we just watch?" Let's see. We're gonna get another Christian McCaffrey play coming up here. Got 11:03, and again, we're vibing. I'm gonna go just chronologically through this. If you really want to vibe and kind of replay it, because I think rather than just jumping all over the place and finding clips, this game was about flow. This game was about mistakes that disrupted flow, like we were talking about earlier. I don't think it was necessarily game plan. I don't think it was necessarily the wrong play calls. I really think it does come down to execution and just not making dumb mistakes at bad times. Jason says, "Come on, Brad. We got to relive this damn nightmare." Yes, because I think it will make you feel better. I really do. I understand we came out of that. That's why we started this particular um, film breakdown with like what pissed you off about this game, because some of these things that we're looking at, like penalties, mistakes, things like that, can be corrected. So it's not the worst, but I understand. Watch Trent on this one. This was a good play by Trent. I like this one by Trent. Trent does a really good job of kind of getting under Frank Clark and then blocking him. Look at that. That's nice. That's nice. We like that, Trent. We like that, Trent. They motion CMC out, quick pass, get blockers in front. Pretty solid game. He says, for sure, brother. Let's go through it then. And I promise you'll feel a little better. I actually, you know what? I'm not going to promise anything because some people might just get more pissed off. But Christian McCaffrey, I think, is a huge silver lining in this game. I think once Christian McCaffrey is fully implemented into the scheme, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think he's going to open up a lot of things for other guys too. I really do. These were back-to-back plays. Let's take a look. This one was the Brandon Ayuk double pancake play. Great block by Ayuk on 47. Look at the way the blocking sets up. Aaron Banks gets onto Nick Bolton. I have to shout out the Chiefs middle linebacker, Bolton. He's really good. Look at that hole. Like, the offensive line, and, Juice broke his finger, had surgery on it. They're going to miss him. Roswell is going to step in. But CMC is going to be able to get after it in this offense. He is. And I think he's really going to help open things up. One thing that I thought was hella funny about this play, because let's watch Brandon Ayuk. So Brandon Ayuk at the top of your screen, he's going to come and block down number 47. But just watch Brandon the whole way through. This part right here. Watch Aaron Banks. This made me laugh. I even showed this to my son and my wife, and they got a chuckle out of it. But you see Aaron Ayuk still like wrapped up, and he's getting after it. Watch him whip 47 into the back of Aaron Banks' legs, and Banks goes down. I don't know why. It just made me laugh hella hard. Just whips his legs like, oh, big man down. Look at Aaron Banks. Oh. I don't know why. It was so funny to me, man. Just seeing 47's legs whipping the back of Aaron Banks, and Aaron Banks just like slow motion falling down, like, I'm going down. I don't know. I thought that was funny. Just whips 47 leg right in the back. I thought that was funny. But that was the Ayuk play where he got that dog in him, put him down twice. Also took down Aaron Banks as well. But again, CMC is going to have a nice role in this offense. I'm pretty excited about it. For anyone calling it a bust trade, I don't know how. If you're that attached to the picks and that's what's kind of putting you in that category, okay, I guess. If you don't like giving up draft capital. But all things considered, if Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, I think he's going to be a nice piece. This wasn't a good play by Jimmy. It's not a good throw. Again, it's the second throw of the game from Jim where it hits the turf before it shows up. So not all that great. Okay, So I know a lot of you guys want me to give critiques on McGlinch. This is going to be McGlinch's first. So we're 13 minutes in. We haven't had a bad McGlinchy play yet. So we're 13 minutes into the tape. This is where the first McGlinchy sack shows up. And so let's take a look at it. I'll roll it all the way through. We could go. It's Chris Jones. They put Chris Jones on the outside. He hits Mike with a pretty stout bull rush. Mike tries to anchor, ultimately gets overblown. Let's try to take a look at the kind of progressions here. I don't know where Jimmy is trying to go. He's appears to be looking left. So I don't know if if he's looking high low to from Kittle to Ayuk. But if that's the case, and he is trying to go to Kittle, the ball needs to be gone. It needs to be out, right? Like, because if you wait on this, because this is going to be outside the ball is going to eventually land outside the numbers. If you are trying to attack Kittle, this is one of those kind of anticipatory throws where you know where he's going to be, and so you kind of got to lead him to that spot, but he doesn't throw it there. And then you're going to see defender like in the hole or like in his passing lane, so he pumps, brings it back down. You have Kyle Juszczyk wide open. So, and if we were to time it, 1, 2, 3, 4, ball's got to be gone. Ball's got to be gone. All right, like I get it. In a perfect world, Mike would have done a better job of anchoring, not kind of getting. So this is where if he could have anchored better, this would have been a more positive pass rush, blocking attempt from McGlinch. And it would have bought Jim probably an extra second. So you have to credit Chris Jones, arguably the best defensive tackle in the NFL right now, a guy that you can literally put on the outside and he can rush the passer from the outside, which is a rare trait. He does a good job here. But you also have to just take account the ball needs to be out. I don't know. Again, I don't know where Jim is exactly going. So I think it's a combo. I think it's a combo. Again, we talked about earlier, you get 2.5 seconds as a quarterback to get the ball out, not 4, 2.5. That's it. Ball needs to be out. You don't want to go here. You don't like your second, check down. So again, I don't know if the defensive tackle right here, you got Carlos Dunlap kind of get in the passing lane. I don't know if this is what makes Jimmy pump. But regardless, the ball needed to be out on that first pump. So again, the critique here for McGlinch. Let's look. Kick step. Let's see. First kick step, okay. Second kick step needs to gain a little bit of ground. Kind of puts his foot in a weird spot. Then has to puts him kind of straight up and down. And so when the contact is engaged, he's in a bad spot. So now he's got to really anchor. And when you're dealing with such a power rusher, it's hard to anchor when you're already out of position. And then, so you can see he tries to anchor, but gets overpowered in the anchor. and Chris Jones gets home. Wasn't, Gmo wasn't good, but it wasn't enough. So I think it goes both ways. McGlinchey could have done a better job. Jimmy could have done a better job in kind of aiding each other. Thank you, David Bundy, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. So we're 13 minutes in. That was the first Mike McGlinchey miscue. And if we want to give it to Mike, that's a sack on Mike. Obviously, Chris Jones gets home, gets a little bit overpowered. But I think it's a combo. Timing of the play was disrupted. And at that point, sack occurs. The Jedi says, that wasn't that bad. I'll forgive 69 on that. It wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. Chris Jones won. He won the rep. But at least McGlinch gave him just enough time to get the play off. I don't know where Jimmy was necessarily wanting to go with it. So, again, still, McGlinchey gets credit for the sack, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like egregious like we've seen in the past. All right, let's see. We'll get another CMC run coming up. 1340. This is one where I think, again, I don't know what the design calls for, but I really do believe if Christian McCaffrey follows Kyle Juszczyk to the outside, this is a potentially massive gain, because watch Kyle Juszczyk on this one. Typically, you want to follow Juice, and you can see he's like one-on-one with a cornerback, and you got maybe a one-on-one potential with the safety. If you can kind of continue to ride this thing outside, again, I don't know if it's supposed to be up the middle or not, but if you could angle that outside, I mean, it does look like by the angle it was supposed to be kind of a mid. I don't know. Do we get a puller? We get the kind of Zorro concept. But hey, if he did follow Juice, that would have been a biggie. Let's see. This was okay. We got the deep shot to Danny right here. So we all knew it. Danny came in. You could see Danny come in. Danny on the play before had, I think, a false start. He had a penalty on the play before. And you could kind of sense that the reason why Danny came in was for this opportunity to get a deep shot. So I don't know if they were necessarily taken off guard by it. I guess I have to credit Jimmy for giving Danny the opportunity, for how much we make of, Jimmy not going deep. He at least gave him the op. But I guess you also have to credit the safety for being in position to make a play. He was covered that whole time. Let's go back and see kind of what the coverage looks like. So you got 2 high, you got Reed, you got 3 linebackers in the middle of the field. They only rush 4. Oh wait, this was the penalty. All right, reset. Justin Reed kind of walks up into the box, but then he bails out. Still too high. Kind of looks like a maybe potential rotation into like a cover 3. But you get clearly this deep route by Danny Gray that gets him one-on-one with the safety, but kind of just runs right at the safety. I don't know. I don't know how it's, what their keys are on this. But have to give credit to the safety. Did a good job of covering that one up. This next one, I think this is the one. I think this might have been one of Jimmy's best throws of the day. Does a really good job. So you can see he's kind of processing to his left, and then he comes back and finds Kittle and delivers a nice ball. So I don't know if his original thought process here is to go to Ayuk, but they take that away. He's able to come back and he finds Kittle. It was a good throw. So again, the experience here is Jimmy makes good throws, but he also makes bad throws. And that's the experience. Um, we've seen some of the throws in the dirt. We've seen some of the really tight window throws that were like, ooh, makes us queasy a little bit. But then we also see the nice throws because I think he came back again to Brandon Ayuk here with another really decent throw. Good read. Brandon Ayuk wins his route. And he's able to deliver it. But of course, these aren't the issues that we're having. And as you can see, he's getting good protection. He's getting good protection, is able to find the ball or find the receiver. We got another sack coming up. So let's look at the sack. Why did the sack happen? 18-28. All right, let's watch it right after this one. So CMC up the middle for minimal gain. So this sack is, I guess you have to kind of credit the defense a little bit because you can see they're going to line up defensive end or a linebacker, whatever position he is. He comes outside the two tight ends at the line of scrimmage. It's basically like a delayed blitz. So they only bring, it's crazy because of the look that they give initially. Well, let's take a look at it pre-snap, then we'll look at what happens post-snap. So this is what we got pre-snap. We got 4 down defenders. We've got we got one linebacker kind of hanging out over the B gap. We have one guy come outside the tight ends. They blitz this cornerback. He comes. They drop back 99. Dunlap drops back. And they bring 50. And Jimmy he wasn't ready for it. There we go. Right here. Just wasn't ready for it. So I have to give some credit. Oh, they bring 4. They bring 4. One of them's a cornerback. One of them is a linebacker. They drop 2 defensive linemen. And it gets them matched up weird. And it's a sack. So It's one of those things that you kind of just have to tip your cap a little bit to the defense. It was a great look. Really confusing, really obviously confused the offensive line. They didn't, uh, no one was there to pick up that guy to the outside, and it turns into a sack. And then we kind of talk about game flow. Basically comes back, and you get a batted pass. So it goes from sack to batted pass. And again, good job by Dunlap to be able to kind of loop around, find himself right in the passing lane, and he engulfs the passing lane. There's no shot at getting that off. No shot at getting that off. And again, game flow. That ended the drive. That ended the drive. Then this is where people are going to start getting, I think, a little bit, maybe some PTSD. But they end that drive. They get knocked out of field goal range. They punt. They get the ball back. So now it's like, oh, we get a second chance at life. What's the score? So we get knocked out of field goal range. Drive stalls. Have to punt. I want to pull up what the score is here really quick. So it's still 14-13 in the second quarter. 49ers stall out. They get a gift. They get the ball back. This was right after the punt. Fumble, muff. They get the ball back. Oh my goodness. 49ers have a shot. Run it up the gut. CMC, nothing spectacular. 2nd and 9. CMC to the right of Jimmy Garoppolo. Bring Deebo Samuel into motion. You got Ayuk, Ray at the bottom of your screen. A little flip to Deebo. Positive yards, right? Positive yards. I believe they still have an opportunity to also get a first down, right? So you see that little marker? They get across that thing. They get a first down. They get 4 more downs. So it's 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3. Inside the 5 or on the 5. I guess it was pointed out to me that yesterday, when Christian McCaffrey is brought off the field, fans booed. I didn't hear it. I was there. I was in the stadium. I really did not notice it at all. But CMC comes off the field, and this is where you're going to get the overload blitz. So you see they get the overload. Trent Williams cannot block 2 guys. And let's see how many guys they brought on that play. Let's see how many total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 7 versus 5. This is 7 versus 5. I don't know what the expectation is for the offensive line here. This is where you have to have help from your quarterback. Your quarterback has to see these things pre-snap. I believe that you have to be able to see that you're getting the cornerback creeping. So watch the cornerback right here. He's already in that position. When Kittle comes in motion, so Kittle starts on the right side of the formation, right? So if we're doing kind of a diagnostic pre-snap, you got a man here, man here. This guy's just hanging out. Kittle goes into motion. Okay. Safety follows Kittle. To me, that's an indication of man coverage. Then this guy's not hiding it at all. Literally not hiding it. He's telling everyone, I'm blitzing. Watch. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. That I would imagine, again, I'm not a quarterback, so I don't read pre-snap blitzes or things like that or have experience doing so. But I would imagine that's something that you need to be alert of that, oh, okay, we got 4 down. We got a middle linebacker right over our center. We have a cornerback creeping. Okay, where are my alerts? I know it appears I have man coverage here. You have stacked defenders here. That's telling me he's blitzing. So if they're bringing pressure, you need to be able to understand where your hot reads are. And then you see everyone come. It's like, I would imagine it's an instant check down. Where's your running back? To find your running back right away because your running back is probably wide open. And guess what? He was. So I feel like, again, you got to do your best pre snap to diagnose. And I feel like they tipped their hand with 22. At least, I mean, you have overloaded here. Like, if you just look at it from this standpoint, and you can see this guy, 22, he is blitzing. He is blitzing. He is not hiding it. Identify that pre snap. You got 56 over the tackle, 91 over your guard, already outnumbered. Even if they were to slide protection, it puts you in an interesting spot. But they bring everyone. And Wilson, I mean, even the passing lane was open. And again, Kyle talked about this one. He's like, this is the last thing that you do in this situation. They bring zero blitz. You don't throw it up. You take a sack, you throw it away, or identify your hot receivers. And I think this one was the killer. You know, like, and somehow they had an opportunity to go up. Again, it's 14-13 right before the second half. And that just really killed a lot of momentum. And again, what is it pre-snap? And look, somehow, I know you guys remember the Chiefs actually scored a touchdown, but it got called back on a penalty, and then they missed a field goal. So somehow the San Francisco 49ers went in only down by 1 point. They should have been up 20-14. They should have. They should have been up 20-14. Minimum 15-14. No, 13, 14, 15, 16-14. It's tough. But 49ers are still in the game. So, and we just keep getting through the tape. Obviously, we understand what happens here from the defensive side. The defense, really had a hard time, I think, making adjustments after the second half. And they, Patrick started driving down and scoring at will. And then 49ers were just putting themselves in bad spots. They had one good drive, which was the Kittle scoring drive. But that one almost ended as well with an almost interception. Let's see. This probably should have been a pick. So you get like throws like this, feels a little late, goes right through the DB's hands, but then you get this play where then Wilson drops a potential touchdown. and then Kittle saves it with the actual touchdown and just makes a great play and goes up against the football. And again, protection is there. Go up, get it, touchdown. So they can do it. They can. It's just, are they going to be consistent and take advantage of game flow? Take advantage of game flow because, again, we talked about it earlier. I don't think it's a game plan. I think plays are there. I think plays are there to be made. It just comes down to execution. It's really what it comes down to. Just comes down to execution. I think you're going to get a nice snatch move from Trent Williams here. Trent Williams going to get 56 on the ground. Nice work. And then, it started to, let's see, what was the score at this point? 28-16. So they clearly scored a field goal. Can't do that. Oh, this is the viral McGlinchey play. No, not this play. I thought it was. Wait. Is it this one? Let's see. Where's that play? Well, this was a good play by McGlinchey to get Clark on the ground. Clark just got suspended. But Clark goes up in the air. McGlinchey does a good job. They always say punish jumpers. Got him on the ground. Should be the next play. I don't know. Where the hell is it? Huh. Oh, I think this might be it. Ah, yes. All right. So this play I saw circulating on Mike McGlinchey. I'll let you watch it first. Again, at first glance, yeah, it doesn't look great. First glance, going up against Clark, not great, right? But let's take a look. Let's take a closer look here. Again, and I keep this same energy for our offensive line, opposing offensive lines. When the feet get involved, it really does take a pancake and really doesn't do it a whole lot of justice. When you get tripped, if you can see Brunskill and McGlinchey's foot, it really changes my perception of the play. It really does. Now, the result is not good. The result is McGlinchey flying through the air. And, of course, plenty of 49er fans remember those types of plays from the 2022 or 2020 season. But if I'm being objective about the offensive line, for anyone, he got tripped. All right. We don't know what the outcome of this play looks like, but he gets absolutely tripped. And that you get, if you're moving backwards and you get pushed backwards and you get tripped and you can't put your foot under you to continue to gain leverage, it's a hard spot to be in. So I don't know what this play looks like if he isn't tripped, but the reason why this looks the way it does is because his leg gets pinned under run skills. So I understand it's good for, fits the narrative of, Mike McGlinchey's no good, but at least use a play where he's not being tripped. And that stands for anyone. You can show it, but if you're not going to talk about him being tripped, because he's upright. He got pushed into the trip. Look at Trent Williams on the other side. Where's Trent Williams moving? He's moving backwards. Now imagine Trent Williams has a leg under him and he's not able to move backwards. The whole thing about being an offensive lineman is you have to be able to move backwards. And if you're impeded by doing so, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get tripped. So, listen, any other play? Sure. We'll talk about it. I don't think that's worthy. I don't. This play's worthy. This play's worthy of being upset about, maybe. But again, same thing occurs. The other thing too that you again have to understand is timing of plays, how long you have to block. Again, the outcome isn't favorable, especially on Mike. The push, but let's count it down from the time it snapped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ball's got to be out. The ball's got to be out. Ball's got to be out. The ball has got to be out. Quarterbacks have internal clocks. They understand what it is. The ball has got to be out. I understand a lot of people don't like Mike. They don't like what he brings to the table. But these types of plays are tough. The ball needs to be out. Needs to be out. So it's, again, it's comorbid. It's comorbid. You got to get the ball out. You got to give your offensive line a fighting chance. Got to give them a fighting chance. And yeah, unfortunately, the offensive line wasn't that bad. They had their moments. They weren't perfect. They weren't great. But, Jimmy sacked himself 2 plays in a row. This play runs into a sack. That's not again, I'm an offensive lineman, so I'm always looking at everything from an offensive lineman perspective. You get 2.5 seconds in this league. You run into a sack, like, okay, maybe nothing was there, Let's take a look. Maybe nothing's there. He didn't feel comfortable. First read got taken away. Looked like he wanted to go to Debo. Wasn't there. Maybe could have came back, hit Kittle. Didn't like that. Maybe could have came back, hit Jeff Wilson. Didn't like that. Runs into a sack. Right? Like, at a certain point, offensive linemen, they do not have eyes in the back of their head. And if you're going to affect the leverage by running past where they're building their strength from, that's it, man. The average pass play in the NFL is 2.5 seconds. That's the average. That's league average, 2.5 seconds. league average. If you're worse, you get less. So we had this play, and then back to back, right after that, we had this play. I again, I can't. I'm looking at this. I'm watching this from an offensive line standpoint. The pocket's there. There's no real interior pressure. I mean, you got a wall right in front of you. Bails out to the right and gets sacked. Again, watch Kyle Juszczyk. He's wide open. You could have taken a step up into that gap. You could have, again, this is what Trey did so well. He would find these lanes and just kind of pop up. He could have popped up, kind of ran out, hit juice. I can't put that on the O line. I can't. Call it biased to the O line. I just can't. So again, when I look back at this tape, I think the offensive line did more than a serviceable job. I think there are opportunities here. And, I do think Jimmy had a little bit worse game than I thought he did originally. I felt like Jimmy did okay, but again, in real time, it felt like the O line wasn't doing their part. But when you kind of go back into it, you're like, actually, the O line was doing their part. Like again, look at Mike McGlinchey on Carlos Dunlap. They're doing their job for the most part. 2.5 seconds is all you get. I cannot express that enough. You get 2.5 seconds in the league. Ball needs to be out. If you don't like your first initial read, you got to know where your check down is. And I think that's where Jimmy struggles the most when his first initial reads aren't available, is when the first read isn't there, he doesn't know where to go with the ball after that. Sometimes. And again, it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. It goes in multiple directions. So tape doesn't lie. Trenches are always going to get blamed. I'm here to at least try to set the record somewhat straight that I don't think McGlinchey was as bad as everyone makes it out to be. I do think both sacks on McGlinchey, although wasn't perfect on McGlinchey, was also some comorbidity regarding the timing of the play and when and where the ball should have been. Also, shout out to Kyle Juszczyk. He's catching this ball with a broken finger. So that man showed some toughness in this game. He's got a broken finger on this play. He actually caught 2 balls with a broken finger. Um, so the plays are there. The scheme is there. I don't think it's a scheme necessarily. It's the things that go outside of that control. And so when we get good Jimmy, things look good. The offense looks stable. They can perform. The timing looks good. Things like that. But when Jimmy gets, a little bit unsure, um, just doesn't really know where to go with the football. Like I think this play was a penalty on Mike. But it looks like a penalty because he steps up and it forces Clark to pull away. So there's a lot of things in this game. There's good, there's bad from the offensive standpoint, at least. But I think getting Christian McCaffrey up to speed, I think is going to help a lot of these things. And if they can, and they can get efficient play, It should be all right. So, yes, it still continues to be frustrating, but I truly believe the offensive line isn't the problem here. Um, I just don't think there is just that same level of gelling continuity, seeing the field all the way. Again, I think you can probably boil down some of the decisions to, not identifying certain things pre-snap, post-snap. Um, they got away from the run game because they had to. Um, you have plays where Jimmy's making good throws, good reads, tight window throws, good throws downfield, good throws outside the numbers, and then he can get shaky and kind of make some poor decisions. Um, make some poor decisions. So, you know, it was a lot of the penalties. Penalties put them in a bad spot. We also have to tip our cap. We also have to tip our cap to the Chiefs defense. They did a hell of a job. I came away pretty impressed. They had a good plan and they executed. And they have some good pieces. And so they did a good job. Um, the optimism comes from if they can clean up the penalties. They clean up the penalties and they just crank up the execution just a notch better. I really do think the offense looks a lot more sustainable. And I think right now what we saw is, the offense didn't look a whole lot sustainable because they kept running into issues. Then it was bad execution here, bad situation here. And then it just becomes really disjointed at that point. So I think that's always going to be something that we're going to have to live with this year. You know what I mean? Um, we're going to have to live with the ups and downs. The hope is that we can get back on track, and we've seen if the defense is playing at a high level, it doesn't put as much on the offense. But when those defenses pin their ears back, and that first read isn't open, then it's tough. So my overall takeaway from that game is it wasn't as bad as I thought it was in real time. Um, I think from a Jimmy standpoint, it's from what we've come to know from Jimmy, right? Like he's capable. He can make good throws. He can make good plays. He can make tight window passes and things like that. It's when he doesn't that I think hurts the most. And then it it somehow compounds with some other situations, and then it just feels like the 49ers are just in this hole um, where it becomes difficult. So, but the weapons are there, um, and if they can maintain it. And again, that was a good measuring stick game. They got a good defense. Chiefs have a good defense. We can't pretend like they're slouches. They have a really good defense. It's not just Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and that offense. The defense is really good. So the 49ers got a nice test there. The 49ers got a nice test. The cornerbacks, for the most part, their coverage seemed like it was on point. They have a great defensive line that starts with Chris Jones. Carlos Dunlap made it difficult. Clark made it difficult. And again, Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is a really good middle linebacker. I came out of this being really impressed with him. So there's opportunities next week. The 49ers have the Rams. We understand how that matchup goes. And so the 49ers have an opportunity to get back on track, especially with CMC more involved. And I really do think CMC, again, takes pressure off Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that could be, a big addition just for that simple fact alone is that CMC should be able to take a load off of Jimmy because I think when Jimmy does get overloaded, he can tend to make the poor play, the one that we say why. Um, but hey, and hopefully our chat can get back on track too. I can see the chat's been off the rails for a majority of this film session. So shout out to chat. Shout out to you guys. I know I could see it's the same. The Jedi's going nuts over here in the chat, saying the same thing over and over again. We get the point, my boy. We get the point. And same goes for you. You're saying the same thing over and over again. So, in part, you're the Jimmy Garoppolo of our chat today. So listen, the 49ers, hey man, they bring us in. Then we get disappointed at times. The takeaway is they are capable. They can do this. They can win football games. They can go far. It's just what version we gonna get? What version of the Niners are we gonna get? Are we gonna get good Jimmy? Are we gonna get bad Jimmy? What is it? And that's where the excitement comes from because 1 week we play the Panthers, we look like world beaters, and then we go play the Falcons, nothing works. Then we go to the Chiefs and we look good early and then just taper off. So I swear, I promise you guys, if this team could somehow string together 60 minutes of fundamentally sound football from the offensive side, they're going to be really hard to beat. But until that happens, they're going to be very beatable. So it's a double-edged sword. They're a double-edged sword. Hey, man, I hear you. My mental health, I'm right there with you. That's why when I see the chat going off, you got guys like the Jedi saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like no one sees it or understands the point he's trying to make. Yeah, my mental health gets bogged down a little bit too. It's like, my boy, we get it. We get it. The point has been made 37 minutes ago. But here we are. So, and I think that's where we find ourselves, right? Hey, next time, Jason, we'll learn next time. But that's why we love this team, because they drive us insane, man. They drive us insane because they are capable. Again, I watch this tape and I'm reminded again, like, okay, the offensive line's not that bad. The offensive line has actually been probably one of the most consistent parts of this team. Even after this Chiefs games, even after everyone wants to make this case that McGlinchey just had this awful game, it felt like it in real time. Absolutely. It really did feel like in real time that McGlinchey had a really bad game. But again, being objective, the 2 sacks that he had were both comorbid in the sense of quarterback held the ball for a long time. So, yes, you don't want to see that, but you also want to see the quarterback be able to get the ball out on time. identify pressure pre-snap and post-snap, and then make correct plays as a result. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. We didn't get that. So it's tough. It's probably a reason why, Kyle did what he did, went to go get Trey. So we know. But yeah, it wasn't great. It was a bad loss. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. Again, the tape makes me feel better because I still see a lot of things that feel correctable. I get anxiety and I get stressed out also when I see, again, the same things that we've seen on tape for a while. Um, I get stressed out when I see people jumping to conclusions because it I know it's hard because you feel emotionally about something that happened in the game. Um, you feel emotionally bad about it. Like I felt emotionally bad. I walked out of that game like, oh, the O line was not good. It, but that's why, again, I always preface it and say I cannot give you a definitive opinion about the offensive line until I go study it. If I don't study it, I can't tell you because offensive line is always going to feel worse in real time. It's always going to feel worse. But you dive back in, you start to slow it down, and you start to understand the full context. You're like, okay. It wasn't just the O line, or it wasn't just this, it wasn't just that. You're like, okay, actually, the offensive line was probably the most consistent part of that game with what they had to deal with from a pressure standpoint, with a blitz standpoint, with the talent that they had on the other side. Actually, not bad. It's actually not too bad. They can win that way. They can win that way, but it takes a team to win, right? Offensive line can only do so much. Their offensive line and cornerbacks. I continue to gain respect for cornerbacks daily because they're just like they're the offensive linemen of the defense. Cornerbacks are the offensive linemen of the defense. So I respect cornerbacks because they have to do the same things that O linemen have to do. They typically have to play across the line from superior athletes while moving backwards. That's very difficult. It's very difficult. And with the offensive line, it's even more difficult because they're more athletically at a disadvantage and they're dealing with freaks on those D lines while moving backwards. That's a hard task. And all things considered, O line did okay. Even Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel had a pretty good game. I had not too much to complain about Jake Brendel. He had one play where, again, you're going to see Jake Brendel get overpowered. But as long as Jake Brendel is assignment sound and working his fundamentals, 49ers can win with Jake Brendel. He just can't make mistakes from a mental standpoint. If he's doing his job, he's giving and he can get to where he needs to be, play the correct leverage. He's not going to overpower anyone, but he gives the team a chance. It's when he makes mistakes, puts himself out of position, that it's really egregious, but they can win with Brendel. He just got to play his game. He's not going to overpower anyone. But he can leverage block and he can do good enough. He just has to play smart ball. Burford and Brunskill rotating at right guard. I don't understand the rotation. Both of them played pretty well. They both played pretty well. Trent Williams, first game back. For the most part, he had a couple plays he probably want back. But again, you can count those plays on one hand. So it wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty good to see Trent getting bodies on the ground again. So Trent looked good. McGlinchey, again, outside the 2 sacks that he gave up, which I believe are comorbid on the quarterback. You know, offensive line, I don't think it's a problem. I don't. I think it's more of the same what the 49ers have been dealing with for the last couple years. So those things can get corrected, but we're also not holding our breaths a whole lot either. So I know, a lot of people upset. I get it. I'm upset as well. The game was not great. I'm terrified to pop open the defensive tape. But my hope is that Christian McCaffrey, again, people, I get it. I understand it to an extent of why people don't like trading for running back. I can understand that. I can wrap my head around it, but it's not too often you're going to get your hands on a running back like Christian McCaffrey. Not only that, um, I really think I think he's gonna be something. I think he's gonna be able to unlock some things that the 49ers just don't have right now. I love Debo. Debo doesn't look as explosive as he did last year right now, and come to find out, he has a hamstring injury, right? Debo is day to day with a hamstring, so maybe that has something to do with it. It's been bothering him for a little bit, maybe. Um, but when they're putting Debo at the wide back, just isn't bringing that same level of explosion, and or defenses aren't terrified of it anymore. They don't know how to, they know how to kind of neutralize it. And then Debo just right now just looks like another guy back there. So CMC has this fluidity to him and explosiveness to him that no one on the roster has right now. And so he can truly, once he gets up to speed and they start moving him everywhere, should be able to affect defenses to the point where we become less predictable. I don't think we're tipping plays necessarily, but there is a portion of football where it's like, listen, we're running zone at you. We're running zone at you. We're running zone at you, and we got to beat your ass. And we just got to win. We got to win at the point of attack. There's a certain point of football where you can do all this pre-snap, like trickery and window dressing and all this different types of stuff, pre-snap motions, blah, 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 blah. Like you could do that. But at a certain point, you need to line up. You should be able to tell the guy, hey, we're about to double the backer on your ass to the left. Good luck. And force them to stop you. At a certain point, you just need some of that, where it doesn't matter if you know what we're doing or not. We just need to beat you. We need to whoop you off the line of scrimmage. I think the 49ers can get back to that. Trent Williams is added back. Aaron Banks is playing at a high level. Brendel, if he plays fundamentally sound, is good enough. Brunskill, Burford, whoever the hell's in there, whatever, just do your job. And McGlinchey, he's doing a good enough job to win football games. It might not be good enough for certain people's standards of McGlinchey, which I understand. But from what I see, can it be better? Of course, but it's not. It's not. He's not the reason why this team is. The offense isn't working or the offense is disjointed. It's not McGlinchey. It's not. I know it feels like it is, especially in real time, but it's not. This team has to be able to identify pre and post snap what the hell's going on and put the ball in the right spot and give your guys opportunities to make plays. That's what's lacking right now. That's what's lacking. Consistency in that boat. Giving guys like solid ops. Just giving them solid ops consistently. It does happen. You get some really good opportunities sometimes from this offense. On the other hand, you get some really bad situations. You got to close that gap. You close that gap, you start limiting the opportunities for errors, and all of a sudden this offense is going to be really hard to stop. All of a sudden, this offense is going to be really hard to stop. But there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of work to be done. As you guys all know. I'm not earth-shattering news with any of that. You guys are smart enough to understand that they're not where they need to be. They're not where they need to be. And I do think the 49ers could have beat them. They started out how they needed to start, and they just spiraled. First half wasn't bad outside of the interception. Outside of the interception in the first half, pretty good. Second half, not very good. And they used a lot less Christian McCaffrey. I think once Christian kind of gets more up to speed, I think we're going to be okay. I think. Did I feel that earthquake earlier? I didn't. My wife did. She was out at an appointment, like I don't know. I think Walnut Creek. I didn't. I heard about it though. 5.0. The earth was shaking. The ground was quaking. My mind. What song is that? Shook me all night. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Where's Jason Verrett? It does feel like we are preparing for Jason Verrett to show up this Wednesday. That's what it feels like. His deadline to be activated off the PUP is Wednesday. So if the 49ers want to see him at all this year, it's got to be this Wednesday. And so that's what we think the Tevin Coleman move was to get him into the building. ACDC, you're right. Good call. We might be losing games, but hey, at least we have CMC. He's going to be a reason why we're winning games soon. I promise. As long as he stays healthy. I think the 49ers O-line is going to be able to do a good enough job opening up lanes. And Christian McCaffrey is going to be able to do a good job of being able to find them and squeeze through them. What's up with Debo? Is he going to play this game? I would imagine he's going to play this game. If he's day-to-day with the hamstring, maybe he's either limited earlier this week. Maybe he misses a Wednesday practice. Maybe he misses a Thursday practice. But as long as he gets limited participation on Friday, should play. So we'll see. We'll see. Excuse me. If we lose this game, then what? That's a great question. because this is the game this next week against the Rams. They got to win this game. They have to. This is a division game. The 49ers' best path forward to the playoffs is winning the division. They've got one game won against the Seattle Seahawks. They've got one game won against the Rams. They now have an opportunity to sweep the Rams. They got to get it done this next week. Brad could have dressed up like a pumpkin. Could have dressed up like a pumpkin for this podcast. It wouldn't have been a bad idea. Wouldn't have been a bad idea. So yeah, man. We're gonna get back on track. Gotta win. Gotta win against those Rams. It's a huge game. Huge game. And the 49ers got to take care of business. If they lose 3 games in a row heading into the bye against a division opponent, it's going to be a wild ride out here on the 49ers streets. Fans are going to be going crazy out here. So we need that one against the Rams, baby. But again, appreciate all y'all for tapping in. I know some of you were here from start to finish. So get your cookies on your way out. You deserve it. This was a long one, almost an hour 45. So I appreciate you guys as always. Yes, Warriors tonight. Go Dubs. They're saving my sanity at the moment. But gotta get this win this week. Gotta get the win this week. Can't have it any other way. We've entered must-win territory. Got to keep the season afloat. I don't want those 3-5 vibes. Well, man, don't want to see it. Don't want to see it at all. Get this win against the Rams, heading into the bye. Got to happen. State of the franchise tomorrow. I would imagine that you guys don't want to do a defensive film breakdown. I would imagine. I'm pretty terrified to even like pop open the defensive tape. Because I think it'll make us sad. So maybe we'll skip over the defense this week. And we'll just kind of sail right into Rams week. We'll just kind of it's Rams week, baby. Let's go. Beat those freaking Rams. This is a mentals game. Get our mentals back on track game. Yeah, we're gonna slide right past the defensive tape this week. And focus on the Rams, man. A team that we know we can beat. We know we can beat them. All right. Smash that like button on your way out. Appreciate you guys vibing. Again, weeks after a loss, always difficult, right? Always hard because it's just difficult. So, not asking you guys to be blindly positive, never that. But I at least appreciate those who can at least kind of work through the pain in a non-toxic way. So I appreciate all my non-toxic SDS. Again, we don't have to be happy. We don't have to love everything. And I don't love what I saw. You know, there's some things that just make you upset. But I do appreciate the non-toxics out there that can kind of just work through and process it all together. So I appreciate you guys. You guys help keep me on track as well. So we'll be back tomorrow. State of the franchise, Jason Aponte, 1:45 Pacific Standard. You already know the vibes. Appreciate you guys. I'm out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to